word to talk about elves, fairies, gnomes, we usually end up thinking about a fantasy world that only exists in fairy tales, lions, or at movies. But if we look at history, our ancestors talk about them as real beings from Earth and not like fairy tales. But are those beings real? According to esoteric definition, a fairy is a spirit from Earth, and that those fairy feed on from vibration or energy of elements from Earth. People from all over the world claim that they had contact with these beings. Recently there was a story of a 5-year-old child. She tells how some elves took her. We could think that it was only the imagination of this child, but the truth is that she actually disappeared. That day she was sleeping in the living room while her grandma was cooking at the kitchen. When grandma went to wake her up, she was not there. She had disappeared. The grandma looked everywhere at home, but she was not able to find her. Quickly she called her parents and other family members. While they were looking, they also called the police. At night time she reappeared in the same place where she was last seen sleeping. They noticed that she had marks on her head. After she woke up, she told them how some elves had kidnapped her. After a while her mother decided to find out where she had actually been when she was missing since noon until evening that day, and for that she thought regressive hypnosis was a good idea. The session confirmed what she had been telling them. She even could tell more details. She told them that she was taken by 2 elves, one red and one black, to a dark place with lot of beings just like the elves. The place was located beyond the clouds. The elves immerse themselves into a dark sphere. That's how nobody can see them. Their power is made up of the energy from children. Every day they take a child to take their energy and exchange it for evil one. They let me fall into a dark hole, and that's how it will. She explained the mark on her forehead. The child that was sleeping while they took her. She woke up, and when she saw them she felt very frightened. This made her hold one in fear, fearing what she was feeling. Then the elf tried to protect her, then he was punished by doing so. He was put in a cage. They are beings of dark and light. Can hurt them, but according to her, there are also good elves. She remembered how a good blue-color elf took her to a place where it was filled with fairies. This story is clearly eloquent and credits other stories that are told around the world since very long time ago. Casually, there are ancient stories on all cult theories, and the elemental beings had been represented in similar ways like the Sumerians, Greeks, Egyptians, Chaldeans, Chinese, Africans, and the Americas. The drawings of the figures are almost identicals from Europe of the 15th century or India 2000 before Christ. On 500 before Christ, Anaxagoras from Greece believed in the existence of these beings. Tafrastro Paracelso, a Swiss-German philosopher, physician, botanist, astrologer, and general occultist, on his book The Hidden Philosophy said the following: "The elementals cannot be classified with humans. They don't have a soul, and yet they are not related to spirits because they never died and spirits did." On the Jewish taboo, you can read that animals and plants are inhabited by these little creatures. The prophet Benjamin Solari Paravicini said that when he was little kid he used to see and talk to the elves and fairies and angels. His father was a psychologist, and he put him on tests that demonstrate that he wasn't making up the stories. Axel Martin Fredrik Munthe was a Swedish-born physician and psychiatrist, best known as the author of The Story of San Michel, mentioned the following: "I'm amazed that people had never seen a gnome. I'm sure they might have something wrong in their eyes." On the other hand, Juan Garcia Atienza was a writer, screenwriter, film director, and Spanish documentary filmmaker. Did a deep study on the Spanish Magi call esotericism, and he came in conclusion that the elemental beings come with a warning call on the special reality that exists on nature, and nature does not behave according to physics or morals ways established by humans. There are a lot of people that Not only say they can see the elemental beings but they can also communicate with them. That's the case of Raquel Cachefiro that has dedicated her life to capture them on images. Raquel says that these beings like to hide under the trees, especially if they don't have roots. Pierre Dubois is an internationally recognized French specialist in everything related to enchantment. He mentions that not believing on fairies is not believing on yourself. He had warned us that fairies and elves will take action if we don't take care of Mother Earth. Nowadays humans are unaware of this energy source of life and only a few people can perceive it. When we are little we have extrasensory systems that allows us to see what others can't. Furthermore, we also don't have the taboo or prejudices subjected by adults. This is why when we are little it's easier to perceive these beings. Their actions can be negative or positive. Some people say they are the truth architect of nature, and we should thank them for the topography of the lands, the course of rivers, the lakes. The expert opinion on these themes coincide with the classification of these beings. By general they are grouped in two different groups. The superiors, the ones that manifest by the four elements, and the inferiors created by the low vibration that humans produce. Inside the superior elementals we can find the gnomes as the elementary of earth, first introduced by Paracelsus in the 16th century and later adopted by more recent authors, including those of modern fantasy literature. Gnome deriving the term from Latin nomos, which means earth dweller. They are related to the physical and are in charge of the minerals of the earth. It's said that they can go through it solids just like we walk through it air. The sylphs is a mythological spirit and they are the elementals of the air. Their kingdoms are on the winds, breeze, and wind whirls. They are always present on air even if it looks like nothing is moving around you. It's said that they are helping us by connecting to our brain, bringing back memories or giving us ideas. The elementals of water, vital electrons, also known as undereniridids. They habit rivers, lakes, sea, rain as well our own body that is composed on its majority of water. It's say that they can irradiate light to the pure of heart. They are also known as having a women appearance, and they have the ability to purify the water of the planet. In the legends of the Arabic world it's also mentioned as genie, invisible beings very similar to the elementals. The genie have the capability of transforming into anything. They can transform into humans, plants, or animals, influencing the human mind. In other words, a psychic posse Zion. Others think that they are beings created by fire and that they obey to the light or dark. Genie as well as other elemental beings can help or attack human beings. In the other hand, the Muslims of India consider them dangerous, invading their homes, and they can be expelling by prayers of the Quran, very similar to the Shaitanic exorcism. According to the Arabic culture, the genies share the physical world with the humans even if they are invisible. They can also go through walls and travel at great speeds. In Alaska there are also beings called Kush Dakat. The Kush Dakat are mythical shape-shifting creatures found in the stories of the Tlingit and Tsimshian Indians of southeastern Alaska temperate rainforest. It's said they can transform into humans or animals, and they are very cruel creatures. They enjoy tricking people. In the other hand, other stories said that they are good beings and they help people that had been lost in the snow. There are many similarities between the stories of the girl that got lost and her dad was able to prove that she was not making the story, and the stories from different cultures all over the world. All of this might make you wonder if all of this could be real. This worlds had been relegated to a fairy tales, and yet the investigators of this phenomenon don't think these are tales. For them it's a reality. Of course there has been little known about these beings, but perhaps we should open our minds to the fact that in reality that little by little we are just yet beginning to understand.